Good afternoon. I'm Rev Dave Thompson. I'd like to welcome you back to our Civil Human Bible Study. I'm a civil human minister, and so what that means is that I focus my ministry on building human peace and common ground. So the way that I'm approaching these scriptures today for this study is really twofold. The first is that I want to be human, so I'm looking at these scriptures to try to find those teachings that I feel can be applied across the board to all humans. And the second thing is that I want to be civil in the way that I do that. So that means that I want to respect those shared basic human needs that we all have, like the need to believe what we need to and want to about our creed, the need to be independent from the control of others, the need to vote for those who will have control over us, the need to intimately love somebody, and last, the need to just live and to live the way that we want to. So I'm trying to respect those as I go about looking at these teachings. So let's go ahead and jump into the text today. It's Matthew chapter 13, verse 44 through 46. It's a fairly short passage today. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and hid, and for joy over it, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking beautiful pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Now, those look like pretty simple verses, and they're only really two, but they actually communicate a lot. And when Jesus is telling this message, the people back then, 2,000 years ago, the Jewish culture would have really understood quite a bit of what he was saying. So we have two parables, right? The first one is about this guy who finds a treasure in a field, then he hides it again, and then he runs over to buy the land so that he can have the treasure in it. And then the second one is about this pearl. This individual is a merchant. He's looking for pearls. He finds this really, really nice pearl, and then he goes and does everything that he can to get this pearl. So what in the world is the message? Because the passage is so short, there's a lot that can be unraveled actually talking about its application to us today. But first I do want to talk a little bit about the pearl itself. Now, treasure in and of itself is pretty self-explanatory, right? Something that's valuable. The pearl is interesting in that ancient society because really what's happening around Jesus' time is ancient Rome is, for whatever reason, decided that pearls are the vogue thing to have as something of value to wear. And so actually it's suggested that Rome invades Britain close to this time in order to actually garner their pearl merchants and all their supply of pearls. So it's really interesting that this unique little thing is all of a sudden so important in this culture. And actually the pearl is incredibly valuable. So it's more so than any gems or sapphires, emeralds, or anything like that of that day and age. What Jesus is pointing to here is something that is of enormous value, and that if you found this one pearl, you'd be set for life and be, in our modern day, really a millionaire. So the question is Jesus talking about money here? No, he's not talking about money here. In fact, he's talking about value, happiness, and joy. And one quick thing that I want to begin this conversation about is the notion in our society that is often portrayed that money is what creates joy. Money is what creates happiness. We have this portrayed to us every day on the news, in the media, in the ads on Facebook or Twitter or wherever it is that we're on social media. We have all of these concepts thrown at us that we will be happier if we have this truck, or if we have this car, or if we have this app on our phone, or if we have actually a phone that's the next latest and greatest, then we're actually going to be able to do something in life and finally find that peace of rest. But the truth is, and I've seen it myself, and I know that you probably have, it does not matter how much money you have. Happiness is something inside. It's not something we possess, it's something we get. It's something that we develop. And the virtues that Jesus is talking about, remember the ones we talked in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5, these things that he says, happy are these people who do this. That's peacemaking, it's compassion, it's humility, It's showing self-restraint. These are the virtues that Jesus suggests are in fact valuable. And those are the ones that I want to talk about today. I want to share a story about a trip. I'm lucky to have my father and Roseanne in the studio here today joining me. So it's nice to have my folks, my family here today. And actually, my father gave me this Bible back when I graduated high school, in which he went through and made notes in throughout it and underlined certain passages for me and gave it to me as a present. So it's incredibly valuable. Thank you, Dad. Actually, something that is like a pearl for me. I want to tell a story about the Philippines. And my father actually went into medical missions. A number of years back, I was in high school about the time. I went with them the last time before I left for college. And we went to the Philippines, and we were in this barrio or village. And we were setting up a medical clinic and just helping to help cure people of their diseases and their ailments, but then also sharing good news with them and about a loving God. And after we were done, we closed out one of these clinics, and we were in the middle of nowhere, which was great. I loved it. It was really a lot of fun. But out of the blue, this little kid came running up to me at the very end of it, and he had like a bushel of mangoes in his hand, and he hurried up to give it to me. I noticed his legs were scratched up and that he was affected by this climb. Evidently, the translator told me that he went around trying to climb the trees to find mangoes, fresh mangoes for me and for us. And so he brought him there, and I was blown away at the fact that this kid had done this, and his legs were kind of scratched up, so I felt a little bad. But why did he do this? What was the motivation? Why would this kid go out of his way to scratch up his legs to carry a bushel of mangoes to somebody he's never met before? Because giving, because compassion, because these good works feel good. They make us happy. That this child was in a difficult, probably impoverished state. He probably was suffering like the rest of them in the barrios where, times were probably tough here and then. But what happened? He felt happy. He felt fulfilled and completely prosperous in that moment because he gave us something. He gave us something. No amount of money could have given him that feeling that day. And it was a good lesson for me to remember that these actions, these virtues, these good deeds, that they have a tremendous value in and of themselves. One of the things that I do want to highlight, especially in this particular passage, is the fact that these items are valuable that he discovers. And Jesus compares them to this kingdom of God. So it's this society of the heavens. It's basically the rules of what governs us, and we call it God. And those of you who don't come from maybe a spiritual perspective, you can call it the universe if that helps. But it's these governing rules that we can't really escape from. And these rules are basically, here's how you live to be happy. And that's those virtues that I talked about, the peace, the love, compassion, and self-restraint. In this universe, in this world that we live in, this is how we find happiness, by doing these things. And I want to just encourage you that once you get a taste of it, once you get this moment where you do something for somebody and you get that thank you, or you get that look of appreciation, the feelings that you get as a result of that, God-given or evolved, however you want to position it, are there, and they're real, and they are far more powerful than any $100 bill that has ever passed to you, or any amount of money or jewels that you'll ever get. I want to also point out in this story, and I think rightfully so, that Jesus points out that these people had to give up a lot of their cost, a lot of what they had in order to get this value. There is a cost to living these virtues. It isn't always easy to do and to live up to these ideas. In fact, I myself, being apolitical is a choice that I've made in order to be a minister who can minister to all humans. It was necessary for me to set that aside so that I could gain the benefit of being able to talk to people regardless of their vote. Sometimes we have to lose things. I lost a lot of supporters, people who came at me and sent me letters chastising me. And, there's a lot of people who may come at you because you're not fighting with them, because you're not standing in the same corner that they are, But peacemaking sometimes costs us friends, sometimes it costs us our reputation. But again, the benefit of living in a peaceful society, of being a peaceful person, far outweighs anything that we can give up as a result of it. The last thing that I want to talk about is that I just want to encourage you in this. Look for an opportunity to practice one of these virtues that we've talked about. If you have somebody who's angry at you, or you know that people are fighting in your office, find a way to resolve this situation. If you have an individual who, or you yourself, who aren't very good at restraining your anger, or maybe restraining your approach to correcting somebody, learn something about how to resolve anger management, and then practice that. These things will give us a huge reward. We'll get this sense of prosperity, not in money and not in the riches that many people look for, but in just sheer joy and in sheer peace. Those things no money can buy, and there's no way to get them except to live these virtues. I want to thank you so much for joining me today and in this Bible study. This has been an interesting experience for me. I started this with COVID because, I'd locked indoors, and I wanted to reapproach these scriptures to just look at them as a human being. And I'm glad I did, because not only have I learned a tremendous amount, but you have also helped me learn that as well. I would encourage you, if you have thoughts or reflections, please leave your comments below in the comments under this video. I would love to have you reach out to me. If there's a question you have, or if you need to personally talk to somebody, I would like to be there for you. Please go to my website, revdavethompson.com, or reach out to me on any of the social media outlets. It's Rev Dave Thompson for most of them. Reach out and talk to me. I'd like to be there for you. And until tomorrow, I want to say to you, I love you. And I hope that you choose to love yourself. It is the only love that we can control in this world. And now I ask that you join me as we go about the rest of our day, loving our neighbors the same way. Thank you.